Today's video, we're going to be looking at exponential notation and what does it mean for a term to be an exponent. So first, let's get down some terminology. So I'm going to write a term with an exponent in it, 3 to the second power, okay? So the 3 here is called the base. All right. This 2 is called either the power and is known as also the exponent. So that little number in the top right, is referring to how many times the base multiplies by itself. So 3 to the second power means 3 times 3, which would be 9. Okay, if I had something else, let's pick another term. If I had 2 to the fourth, I would write that as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And you multiply those 2's all together. Or you could break it down into pairs. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, that's another way to do it if you do it by hand. Now, some numbers get a little weird when you throw in negatives. For example, let's do -2 to the third power. So -2 to the third power, when you have those parentheses in there, that means you're taking -2 and multiplying it by itself 3 times. So it's -2 times -2 times -2. And you know a negative times a negative here, this number right here, is a positive, right? +4 times -2, which would be, your answer would be -8. So whenever you're multiplying a negative number, just be careful of the signs, all right? Now, if I did it to the fourth power instead of the third, so if I said this, so if I said to the fourth instead, I would add in another negative, right? -2. Then you have negative times -2, which is a +4. -2 and -2 is a +4. +4 times +4 is +16. So not always are you going to get a negative result if you have a negative base, especially inside the parentheses. So what you'll notice is the ones with even exponents. So if it has an even exponent and you have a negative base inside parentheses, you're going to get a positive result. But if you have an odd number like we'd had before, right? We had 3, which is this right here. It's going to be a negative result, which is going to be -8, like I showed before. So if it's odd, you're going to get a negative answer. If it's even, you're going to get a positive. It also changes where the parentheses are. For example, if I had -2 to the third, that looks like that. Now that changes the dynamic of my exponent, because what it's really doing is saying you're finding first the negative of 2 times 2 times 2. So it takes the negative at the end, which is -8. And also, you do the same thing with positives. So let me give a different example. So if I had +3 to the 4th, right? Oh no, negative. I'm going to put the negative there. Okay, so since this is not in parentheses, it's going to take the negative of the entire 3 to the 4th. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 81. So this result is 81. Then you take the negative at the end. So it all matters whether there's parentheses or not around a specific term with an exponent. Fractions, you would do the same thing. So fractions, you would have, let's do 2 to the 3rd to the 4th power. So that means you're just using the exponent to the numerator and the denominator. So it's actually 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 over 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 16 over 81. And then just make sure you reduce at the end. Okay, so very simple concept when you're dealing with exponents. It's repeated multiplication. The little number, again, in the top, little number in the top right is called the exponent of the power. This is called the base. And you're doing repeated multiplication. And also be careful with the negatives. If the negative is on the inside and it's an even exponent, then you will get a positive result. If it's an odd exponent, you're going to get a negative result. So use these rules, play with it, play with also putting the numbers in the calculator and figuring out and getting used to using the exponent button in your calculator. So work on these problems. If you have questions in class, please let me know. Thank you for watching.